was back in 1984 and I was 14 years old, and I came home from school not feeling particularly well, bit of a headache, feeling a bit fluey, and gradually that deteriorated and I was starting to vomit and be sick. And I was quite gutted actually, because I wanted to go to school the next day because we had a non-uniform day which we'd all paid up to do for charity. But by the morning it was obvious that I wasn't well enough to go. In the evening I can remember I started hallucinating, and I was wandering around in the garden at 4 o'clock in the morning looking for my brother. So my mum calls the GP out, and she thinks at that stage it's probably flu because of the headache, the vomiting. By the Sunday they realised I'd deteriorated a lot more, so an ambulance was called and they whisked me off to Gloucester Royal Hospital, where they performed a lumbar puncture, and which later confirmed that I had meningococcal meningitis and septicemia. When I got to hospital, obviously they started working on me with antibiotics, and I was pretty much out of it for the first week. But when I woke up, my hearing had gone totally. It was 100% hearing loss in both ears. Came home after 3 weeks, but there was very, very little support in those days for somebody that had gone through this sort of thing. It was 2 years before the Trust was actually formed. That is one of the reasons I'm so pleased that the Trust is now supporting sufferers and people that have been left with disabilities, because there was nothing available to my family at all. Started working at the Trust in 1987. They'd advertised for an administrative assistant. Obviously, because it was an issue close to my heart, I thought I would apply for the job, and it's been amazing to see how much it's grown. When I was about 17 or 18, there was starting to become surgery available for deafened people to have a cochlear implant. At that time it was still in its infancy really, and it's progressed so much in the last 20 years. I was offered the chance to have an implant. I would have been one of the first people in the country to have had the implant back then, and even though it was a fantastic operation then, I decided against it. But 5 or 6 years later, in 1994, 10 years after I'd lost my hearing, the technology had progressed a lot more, so I thought, I'll have a look at this again and see whether it's possible for me to be implanted. And I had lots of tests and I was a suitable candidate still. So went down, had the surgery, which involves inserting 22 electrodes in through the skull and down into the inner ear. And the external parts, which are where there, contain a microphone that pick up all the sound, and that converts it to electrical impulses, sends it down all the wires that bypass the damaged part of the cochlea and give the sensation to the auditory nerve of sound. I was switched on, they call it switching on, and that was 4 weeks after I'd had the operation, and it was absolutely unbelievable. Guy I married, he's into a lot of music, but he was playing me Pink Floyd, and I thought, this is fantastic, it's brilliant, it's so clear, the clarity of it is unbelievable. But now I've had the implant 14 years and the technology's moved even more. We used to wear a big processor on the belt with wires going up, and now it's all behind the ear, and it's absolutely fantastic. I mean, most people don't realise I've got a hearing problem at all. The implant has made such a difference to my life. It really has made so much progress for what I can achieve in life and be self-dependent, and also with my speech helps to keep that on the level. And I'm so pleased that the Trust is here to help people like me, because originally cochlear implants weren't available on the NHS. They are now, but the Trust has helped so many people with the external parts of the implants, and it really has made so much difference to people's lives. The financial grants, part of the Trust, and what it is doing to help people is fantastic.